All right, everyone, good evening and welcome to Loudon Agile Network's June presentation. Thank you so much for taking the time to attend our monthly meetup. So a little bit about Loudon Agile Network. We started this group in January this year because there was a void. We didn't really have an Agile group here in Ashburn, and we started with that. After being hit by COVID, we moved to a virtual mode, and we are continuing to be in that mode. For those of you who attended our last session, we had an incident with a Zoom bomber. So because of that, we made some security updates, and we are now using Zoom webinar. And I apologize that all of you would have had to register twice. We are learning about this webinar, Zoom webinar, and it has been a learning experience for us. But we are ready and we are about to get started. And again, once again, thank you everybody for joining. So before we get started, the difference between a webinar and a normal Zoom meeting is that all the videos are blocked. You are unable to change your name with which you have registered, as well as the only information that you can share is through the chat window. So you have no access to the screen, but it is really going to help us making it a more enjoyable learning experience for us. With that, I want to talk about the housekeeping. So basically, this is a 1-hour session. Our speaker is going to be providing her presentation for about 45 minutes. We will have time for questions. If you wish, you can put questions in chat and have members from the team who are going to moderate questions, who are going to ask those questions towards the end. If you want to ask those questions, please do put it in the chat window. With that, I would like to introduce our speaker for today. Our speaker for today is Anju Baraya. She is an accomplished enterprise coach. She's a trainer, and she's also a SAFE consultant with the latest certification as well. Today, Anju is going to talk to us about the challenges and crises that many organizations face with the ability to produce and deliver value. She is going to talk about the Frederic Laloux Organization Model, and she's going to share many of her personal experiences as well as tips to help us learn more about how we all can work towards creating a high-performance organization. With that, I want to pass the microphone on to Anju. Anju?
Thanks, Toby. Welcome, everyone. Topic of today's discussion is how to create a high-performance organization. So, agenda for today, we'll be discussing organization paradigm given by Frederic Laloux. We'll discuss the focus areas for creating a high-performance organization, and we'll discuss the change agent or leader's role in creating a high-performance organization. Little bit about me. I'm Anju Baraya. I'm an Agile coach and trainer. I work at CGI Federal. I'm a SAFE program consultant. I've conducted several SAFE trainings, leading SAFE, SAFE Scrum Master, SAFE Product Owner, SAFE for Teams. I started my career in Microsoft as a software developer. Then we moved to East Coast. Then I worked for Symantec, Comscore as web and database application developer. Symantec was going through Agile transformation. That's when I started my Agile journey. I've worked through mature SAFE implementation, and currently I'm with CGI Federal. Again, there's a good SAFE implementation there. On the right-hand side, you see my beautiful family, my both boys on the 2 sides, and me and my husband. This is from our recent trip to Turkey and Greece, which we went in December when the world was way different. I hope in these times you all are keeping safe. So that being said, let's begin. First question, why? Why do we want to discuss the topic of how to create a high-performance organization. Organizations today are facing existential crises. They need to adapt quickly to changing market situations. However, culture and management paradigms of the past are inhibiting organizations to adapt. So we need to understand what these blockers are and what can we do to move to high performance. So let's first understand or just take a pulse check on what you think high performance organization is. I'll stop sharing. You'll have to go to, can you log into menti.com on your phone and use the code 991976. And there'll be a question which you need to answer. I just see one response. Still waiting. There are 29 people on the call. I just see 6 responses, 7, 8. Okay, we see a pattern here. Can someone summarize what do you see here? Toby, everyone can talk, right?
I think they have to unmute themselves, but yes, they should be able to talk. So we tested that earlier.
Yeah, I don't want this to be just one-way presentation, right? So what pattern do you see here? Anyone?
I think everything is very positive trend, you know, forward looking and not looking back. An organization that that is able to understand its culture and move forward, and being able to respond to the market. That's what I saw.
I saw high value several times.
Yeah.
quick response.
Yeah.
Able to continuously deliver value and constantly stay motivated. That brings high performance.
Yep. So I see, main three categories. One is like in the center, I see adapt, right? Quick response to market changes, one which is able to adapt quickly. The another one is improvement that brings continuous value, the rightmost, right? Continuous improvement, eliminate waste, organization that is successful. On the leftmost, it's more about stakeholders. If you see three categories, right? That the leftmost talks about an organization where stakeholders are happy, organization in which client as well as internal employee enjoy building collaboratively, right?
So, Anju, can I give you a quick feedback? Can you go slower, because I don't think we are able to keep up with your scrolling. So when you scroll, just stay there for a couple of seconds.
So actually, it's scrolling on its own. I have to press enter to resume again or stop. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So can I move forward then?
Anju, you stop sharing screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm switching.
Okay.
PowerPoint. Okay, so it's nice that we all shared what our basic understanding is before going into the presentation, right? This is my understanding. High performance organizations are those that create a culture and a blueprint for outperforming the competition for long haul by engaging multiple stakeholders. And there are several dimensions to it, which I don't want to add right away, but over the period of few slides, we'll figure out what those aspects are. Okay, so let's take a few minutes and go into the journey of organization evolution. This is a model discussed by Frederic Laloux in his book, Reinventing Organizations. He says that throughout history, organization structure has gone through several stages of evolution. As human consciousness evolved, so did the ways of collaboration, and so did the organization model. He named those organization models on the basis of color, like red, the oldest possible organizations that we'll see, reactive red organization, amber, conformist organization, orange, achievement-oriented, green, pluralist, teal, more purpose-oriented. So you should just focus on the figure on the left. The color is showing the color of the organization. We saw the red one is goes back to 20,000 years ago when we were tribal societies. There was constant exercise of power by chief. The fear was the glue, and it was highly reactive, short-term focus. If we compare to the modern age, the mafia, street gangs, tribal militia, those are the kind of organizations we can compare to. And in the center of the figure, that shows the guiding metaphor. So guiding metaphor for these kind of organizations is wolf pack. As human consciousness evolved, the organization structure went to the second phase, where more hierarchy, stability, control came into picture. The guiding metaphor for this was the army. And the current examples that you can compare to are Catholic Church, public schools, government agencies. Here, the concept of social norms came into picture, right, wrong. So again, conformist, amber organization, where morality is the yardstick. As we moved further, again, the red ones were related to tribal. The amber one were related to from tribal to agriculture. With the Industrial Revolution, we went to the third phase, which is orange, which is achievement oriented, where everything is based on the output, the results, the success, failure, strategy, execution. Competition, profit, that was the benchmark. Innovation, accountability, meritocracy. And if you see in the center, it shows the guiding metaphor. The guiding metaphor here is the machine. Now, this was very soulless phase where everything was related to machine. So if you compare today in our world, you'll see we still talk about input, output, efficiency, productivity, throughput. All these terms are coming from that age when everything was related to machine and factories and stuff. But human consciousness evolved and we started moving from soulless organizations to more people-oriented. Then came the next phase, which is green. So if you look at it, at the green, you see more humanistic aspect, culture over strategy, empowerment, stakeholder balance. In the orange, it was all about shareholder. What does the shareholder wants? What shows profit in the books? Now we don't want to confine ourselves with just the shareholder. We want to move further to all the stakeholders, to the employees. What does employee want? What does customer wants? What does shareholder wants? What does management wants? So it has more, all the stakeholders are taken care of. So I saw that over there when we mentioned that what a high-performance organization is. It has all the stakeholders balance. It's not just confined to shareholder. It is taking care of humanistic aspect, culture. You are not concentrating power just to few people. You are empowering other people. So empowerment. The outcome, they are delighted customers. There are shared values. There's more engagement. Examples of green organizations that you can see is Ben & Jerry, Whole Food, Starbucks, Southwest Airlines. And the guiding metaphor here is family. The next phase, which is still evolving, which is like futuristic phase. Few corporations do exist in different nooks and corners of the world though, is the next phase, which is called teal organizations. Here, it is more about self-management. The concept of power hierarchy just goes away. People are leading their life with more evolutionary purpose, higher purpose. There's distributed decision-making. The problem, the flaws that we were seeing with the previous phases was the power was just concentrated to few. Now there's more distributed decision-making, more power distribution, more wholeness. You are just not expecting people to be machine. You are expecting them to bring their whole self. Examples, Budzorg. It's a firm based in Netherlands for nursing. Morningstar, tomato-based company. Patagonia, April. So I'll give you a few seconds just to look at it before I move forward. Take a look because you'll do your second Menti quiz based on this. Again, just to recap, red organizations, the figure shows red is related to tribal, street gang, mafia, army were the kind of organizations. Traditional, the amber one is like church, strictly based on norms, static world of immutable laws. Orange organization, all multinational corporations. Green organizations, Starbucks, Southwest, Zappos, Ben & Jerry, and teal, we already discussed. Budzorg, Patagonia, Morningstar, Favi, and so on. So your second quiz, you'll have to go to menti.com, use the code 991976 and share what do you think your organization type is. If you want, I'll keep this slide. And second question, be ready to discuss. Tell me which phase, which organizations like green, teal, orange, which one comes into the high performance organization type and which one comes under the low performance organization type. So menti.com, I'll quickly stop sharing and move there.
Hey Anju, are you releasing second question? Because I still see high performance organization question.
Yep.
Can you show the previous slide with all the red, green, amber definitions?
Can I explain you? Because with Zoom, it's so difficult. I have to stop sharing and go back.
No problem.
Green is like multiple stakeholders are taken care of, right? And empowerment is there, engagement is there, culture is taken care. Orange is achievement oriented, where it's like innovation, accountability, but machine-like all that you care about is output, productivity, outcomes. Amber is conformist, right or wrong. Too much of process, too much of structures. Red is like total authoritarian.
Got it.
Teal is absolutely no management.
Got it. Thank you.
No problem. So whoever's organization is green, please be ready to share your experiences. We'll give a few more seconds for everyone to put their inputs. %50 of the folks are feeling that they have green organization. That's like so awesome. Is everyone done? Can I move forward? So whoever voted for green, can you explain some of the characteristics that you think are great and you are categorizing your organization as green? Guys, unmute yourself if you are muted.
Hi, this is Vivek. I can tell my example why I think my organization is green.
Go ahead.
This happened 3-4 years ago, and it's just a simple incident which tells me that my organization actually cares for people. And this is at 3 o'clock. My managing director came to my office and he said, "Hey Vivek, I cannot join the meeting that we have right now because I have to take my son for a soccer game practice." And he's a managing director. He has 250 people reporting to him, and he was so clear and easy that he clearly admitted that at 3:30 in the middle of the day he has to go for a soccer practice for his child. Which makes me feel that if given an opportunity, I can tell anybody else in my team that, hey, I have something personal more important, which I can take care of during the work time and not be ashamed about it or not be embarrassed about it. And that made me feel that this organization really cares for its people, and it's an open and honest organization. So we don't have to make things up when we have our personal priorities, and that made me feel really good. And I think that's one incidence I can see that there was a stakeholder balance. There was a culture which was more open, and there were shared values across the board.
Awesome, great example. Anyone else? Thanks for sharing. 50% folks said green, so there has to be some other attributes.
Hey Anju, this is Archana.
Hey Archana.
Hey, so I had to pick one color, so I picked orange, but I wanted to say that it's in between orange and green because it is a large company, that's CGI, and we do have a lot of characteristics, I think, for a green organization because, at the highest level, we try to achieve the stakeholder balance and in everything, and the management does lead by those the values and we generally do a pretty good job with that. So that's been my experience.
Yep, I work at the same place, agreed. So thank you. Anyone else wants to share? Somebody said Ember. So do they want to share the experience? Why do they think, or what are the characteristics of the organization that categorizes that as Ember organization?
Yeah, hey Anju, this is Niranjan here.
Hey, Niranjan.
Hey. So I think today's organizations are so global and their scope and size, they're just complex adaptive systems, right? So so our view is based on, I'm saying individuals' view is based on the scope, visibility, and the access that individual has to the organization, right?
Yep. So,
and then particularly the organizations that have, most of the large organizations, enterprises have grown inorganically. There are very few that have organically reached the state of large organizations. So most of the times as the organizations grow, there is a intrinsic need for the control or for starting able to monitor and track, right? And that introduces a lot of processes, a lot of practices, and that kind of works, that kind of has a negative impact on the creativity of the people, right? In fact, it puts the boxes, it puts the boundaries on the creativity of the people, most of the time, right? So that's why I put and again, in different pockets, different people may have different experiences, but based on my limited exposure to the organization that I work with, I marked it as Amber.
Okay. Yeah. So you see a lot of formal rules, processes, right? The concept of strictly abiding by rules. Otherwise, you are like an outcast, right?
Right. There's a lot of adherence, penalizing, those kind of things, right?
Okay, sounds good. So, the purpose of this slide is to make you start thinking in that direction and to come up with the attributes which are the building blocks for moving towards the high performance, right? So that brings to the next question. Which category organizations do you think falls under high performance? Between red, amber, orange, green, teal, which categories are high performance?
Do you want us to vote on Menti or?
No, just go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Anyone?
I think it would be green and teal.
Yeah.
Yep, great. Okay, let's move.
Quick question, and if you're going to cover it in your slides later, as a panelist, I couldn't put a question there, but is there a correlation between the traditional project management styles, which is more command and control and agile? So are more agile organizations or organizations that have an agile mindset, are they more likely to be green and teal versus red?
Obviously, with Agile, we bring in concept of team empowerment, right? More engagement and stuff like that. So Agile flourishes more in green kind of organizations, right? As compared to where there's like complete control. So,
gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, there is a correlation.
okay, I have a lot to cover, guys, and it's already 7:32. So now, when you look at these, right, we came to the conclusion that green and teal are high performance organization. So what would be the building block for high performance? When you look at it, that's when the concept came in, right? You see, in the high performance zone, you will be valuing culture over strategy. There'll be more empowerment. There'll be a stakeholder balance, right? There'll be evolutionary purpose. There'll be self-management. There'll be wholeness. So not necessarily like for being teal, it doesn't mean that you have to have all the characteristics related to teal. You will have more characteristic related to teal as compared to the other ones, right? So that being said, this derives from there. The key attributes of high performance or the building blocks of high performance are culture over strategy, shared values, employee engagement, stakeholder balance, higher evolutionary purpose, self-management, wholeness, empowerment, and decision-making. So first thing, culture. We all know that success depends on strategy. However, successful execution of strategy depends on culture. What is culture? It's an operating system of an organization. It's unwritten rules and norms, your values, your beliefs, your behavior, your identity. That is culture. When you look at your organization, think where your organization is spending most of its time. Is it on tactics, which is how do we do the work? More on processes, deadlines. When you are focusing on batch size, process, that means your organization is spending most of its time in tactics. Strategy means what do we want to achieve? Here, you'll be focusing more on org structure, like autonomous self-organizing teams. What kind of structure do you need in your organization? The way that information flows, the way things happen to execute that strategy. Culture, it's who do we want to become? This is, you'll be focusing on vision, values, engaged, delighted customer, organization identity. So, quick question. If you want to gain high performance, where does your organization should be spending most of its time? Tactics, processes and stuff, strategy, or culture? Obviously, they all are important. However, to attain high performance, where should the focus be?
Hey, Anju, this is Shrikant.
Please, Shrikant.
Hey, I think to me, it's definitely the strategy.
You think it's strategy?
Yes.
Okay, so answer my one question. Strategy means you will have autonomous self-organizing team. Culture means you'll have engaged, motivated individuals because that's the culture. Everyone works the way they work, the way they collaborate and everything. What will give you high performance? Just autonomous self-organizing team would give you that, or engaged, delighted customer would give you?
Frankly, you need all three of them.
No. So that's a disclaimer I said, that you cannot ignore one over the other, right? However, which you want to focus more to gain high performance?
Yeah, I think a delighted customer, because that's where the value is. The goal is to produce the most value for your customers. So maybe it really start from the, producing and delighting your customers, and then how you achieve that, that will be through your autonomous teams.
Yes. So the point is not that you ignore the other two aspects. The point is, where will you be focusing more to gain high performance? Okay, so quick question. Has anyone heard about Project Aristotle, which Google did in 2012? Silence means I'll take no. Okay, so Google did a project in 2012 to figure out what is one ingredient that makes a team high performing. Results: Can anyone guess what that would be? One ingredient that makes a team high performing.
Keep the team size small.
Okay, again, you are going to strategy, structure.
Happy employees,
say
engaged
culture.
employees.
Yes, that's great. Engaged employees. What else? What did the research they came up with? What is one single? The engaged employees is important, but not the most important thing.
I've always thought it's who do we want to become, that we have a common vision of where we want to go.
The research showed the psychological safety is what leads to a high-performing team.
Yep, psychological safety. Great, Mansi. So psychological safety. Thanks, Mansi. Do you want to define what psychological safety is? Not from the slide, but from your understanding.
Yes, you're welcome to take that slide away. In my experience, the way we have been able to attain some of that is by showing some of the behavioral aspects of things. So when you make a mistake, how does leadership respond to that? When you say you're open to experiment and the experiment fails, how do you respond to that? Are you able to fall apart and get up and still run and go do what you have to do? That is how we look at psychological safety in an organization.
Great.
And also the ability to set a table where everybody's opinion and everybody's idea is given a serious thought. There is not a bad idea or not a bad way of doing things. Everybody's opinion is important, and we encourage respectable debate. That happens a lot, and it's quite fun.
Yep, awesome. So psychological safety is basically a sense of confidence that team will not embarrass, reject, or punish someone for speaking up. The definition, this definition was given by Emmy Edmondson. It is also a team climate where there's interpersonal trust and mutual respect. People are comfortable being themselves. It's safe to be yourself. You can take risk. You can ask for help. So basically, another question goes, do you feel that your environment is safe? So when you go back to your environment, to your offices, or to, tomorrow, make sure you think about it. Do you feel that you have a psychologically safe environment? Because this is the foundation. When you have a psychological safe environment, there'll be a deep trust and cooperation. You will be combining strength and talent, and we will be progressing further, right? However, if you are not psychologically safe, you'll be protecting yourself, and that will weaken your organization because there'll be so many blockages building into the system. So Patrick Lencioni, he gave this 5 dysfunctions of the team, and he said that the absence of trust, this one, the first one is the foundation through which all the other dysfunctions comes into picture. Like if you don't have trust, then you won't be able to talk openly. And if you are not able to talk openly, then you cannot have constructive argument with people. So you'll have a fear of conflict. When there's a fear of conflict, you cannot discuss, you cannot come to conclusion, you cannot commit. And when you cannot commit, you cannot be accountable. And when you cannot be accountable, there'll be no results. So it leads to so many other dysfunctions. So the prerequisite for high performance is psychological safety, which I would say equivalent to the trust, the building block. Next step, how can leaders create a high performance culture? In the interest of time, I'll have to go quickly rather than making it more interactive. So Edgar Schein speaks that when we examine culture and leadership closely, we see that they are the two sides of the same coin. Neither can really be understood by itself. Means culture and leadership are very closely related. Again, this is a quote given by Edgar Schein. He has written the book Culture and Leadership, if you guys are interested in reading. The only thing of real importance that leaders do is to create and manage culture. So basically, the onus of creating culture or positive culture goes to management or leadership in the new norm. Where do you begin? You begin with trust. Withholding your true self puts a cap on trust and your ability to lead. Trust, how do you, I mean, this is such a feeling like you trust someone. You cannot actually make someone trust you. There are certain things that has to come in picture to be trustworthy. A, you have to be authentic. People should be able to experience real you. You have to be empathetic. People should be able to connect to you and you should have a caring feeling for others. And obviously logic, they should trust your judgment and logic. So you begin with trust. Now again, leadership has a new important role to play in building culture. They have to show up differently. They have to become leaders from managers. They have to move from authority to partnership. They have to shape organization culture by modeling mindset and behavior. Communicate frequently, reinforcing those kind of behaviors. Always show vulnerability. Like Vivek mentioned, right? When his boss says that, okay, it's okay to be human. It's okay to take your kids during the work hour for the necessary things. So when you show vulnerability, you get more dependency and it breeds responsibility in return. So when trust is embedded, it breeds responsibility in return. Second factor. So first factor for high performance was culture. Second is employee engagement. This is a survey done by Gallup. It shows that 87% of the people worldwide or employees worldwide were disengaged. This was done in 2017 out of 142 countries and 230,000 employees. Basically, we discussed, right? Self-organizing or self-organizing team doesn't give high performance. Engaged, motivated employees give high performance. And how do you build engaged, motivated employees? You build engaged, motivated employees by giving them more freedom. By giving them more autonomy, mastery, purpose. This was given by Daniel Pink in his book Drive. He discusses about that autonomy, mastery, and purpose are three ingredients which motivates the knowledge workers. Autonomy means more freedom. Like today, the workplace has become such dry places. You sought to go step out to feel your sense of power or sense of accomplishment. If your workplace was not like just the game of powerless and powerful, you would be able to have more freedom to do things, then you'll be motivated at work. Same way, mastery, like continuous. Human beings want to see continuous progression towards something, right? Mastery. So generally, the workplaces don't leave enough time for people for self-development or professional development. However, if that is given, then they'll have more engaged employees. Purpose. People want to work on things which has more impact. Reshaping workers' motive results in better performance. This was again research done long back in 2013, where there were two groups. One into which it was communicated that you guys have to label tumor cells to assist medical researchers. The other group, they didn't set any context and they said your work would be discarded. The results, the group where they set the context and showed that their work is valuable resulted in more productivity, the more quality. And the group where no context was set, they didn't work so well, they were not engaged and the quality was bad. How can leaders improve employee motivation? First, explain the why behind the work of the team. As we saw that when they are able to connect why their work is important, they'll be more engaged. Considering how you have designed the team's role, does everyone have a safe space to play? Ask if everyone has the opportunity to witness the impact of their work and encourage learning. So these are several ways that you can develop or increase motivation. Stakeholders balance in high performance organization. This we already discussed, that orange organization, you just took care of shareholders' perspective. In green and teal, you take care of multiple stakeholders' perspective. Maximize profit for investors, management, employees, customers, society, and even environment. Richard Branson, CEO of I'm not remembering the name. He mentioned that clients do
Virgin.
not.
Virgin Airlines.
What did you say?
Virgin.
Yes, thank you. Clients do not come first, employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of the clients. Next, higher purpose, evolutionary purpose. When individuals and organization purposes resonate with and reinforce each other, extraordinary things happen. How can leaders improve alignment and provide clarity? Aligning big picture with day-to-day. Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz had a very ambitious plan. He wanted to make his company third place for conviviality beyond home and workplace. So the atmosphere of Starbucks is not just because of the decor and stuff, but it is because people understand how their work fits into the organization's common purpose. Steve Jobs mentions that if you are working on something exciting that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. So stronger alignment leads to higher performance. Bottom line, like your goals, vision, mission, purpose, culture, they all have to be strategically aligned and you will gain high performance. I think the last I mentioned, self-management and distributed decision-making. Power and authority are deeply embedded at every level of organization, not just held by few at the top. In case of self-management, this is teal organizations again. Teal organizations use the advice process, means anyone at any level can make a decision as long as they solicit the inputs from people who have the expertise and people who are impacted. This is the case study for Berserk because these are the futuristic organizations. So I thought, let me take this one. Berserk is highly decentralized network of 9,000 nurses. Staff is very restricted, just to 50 people staff. They have self-managing teams of around 12 nurses. They are serving specific community. Now, this organization trusts its nursing team to make good decisions and adapt quickly because they are focused on certain set of people or patients, right? This organization was launched in 2006, but it now has 60% of market share in Netherlands. One study in 2009 shows that Berserk require 40% of the care are needed by other approaches as compared to needed by other approaches. Why? Because people are able to get better faster and they're getting better services. In short, Berserk is highly successful as a business and effective at achieving its purpose. That brings me to the end of the presentation. In conclusion, green and teal organizations are high performance zone, focus beyond tactics and strategy. Culture is the operating system and leaders play a significant role in managing it. Managers become leaders and create a safe environment for everyone to learn and grow. Explain why and connect with the deep sense of desire. Providing alignment and clarity are leaders' role. Thank you. So, Toby, on to you for questions.
Sure. So thank you. That was excellent, Anju. A lot of information in a little bit of time. So I'm actually going to open it up for folks to post their questions on the Q&A chat room. And while we are waiting for that, so I had a question for you, Anju.
Sure.
A lot of different topics. Why did you choose this? Why did this topic connect with you? So I would love to hear more about that. In the meantime, I request everyone to please post your questions on the Q&A chat window.
So Toby, we are going through such a phase, right, in the real world, where organizations are adapting so quickly. Like if you know College Board, they quickly revamped, came up with a new strategy, right? How they are doing their SAT, how they are doing their their exam, like AP exams, how they conducted it, right? So all these things, like how organization as big entity are able to evolve and quickly make those changes, that made me really interested in exploring more and present more, because I feel deeply passionate about what works and what doesn't work at the organization level.
Thank you, Anju. That was really good. So questions, I'm going to go over the questions which are in the Q&A room here. So question from Niranjan, how do you motivate team members in a matrix environment? How do you make them to move towards a more high-performing organization? So at the team level, how do you get that started?
So Niranjan, first you have to see where you are in your journey, right? You have to, like we discussed, psychological safety is the prerequisite. And I have walked into the meetings where only one person who is conducting the meeting talks. Rest of the people don't talk. The reason? I think it's because they are not feeling safe. They think that they are being judged. So start working on those things first, right? That people, they will only work collaboratively if they have that deep level of trust and collaboration, and all those things will flow in if the trust is there.
Awesome, thank you. The next question is from Niranjan. Niranjan's question is, please suggest success patterns to build the mindset to transition from a manager to a leader. Great question.
Can you repeat that, Toby?
Sure. So please suggest success patterns to build the mindset to transition from a manager to a leader. So if I read into it, I think the question really means is, as a manager, you are just managing things. How do you build those patterns? Like what kind of patterns do you look at to move from a manager to a leader?
Sure. So I'll give you one example here. Like in one of the organization, the manager came and we were having our coaching conversation, and manager said that I want team to work on this, right? But this is beyond the capacity of what they have, right? So how do I tell them, right? I said, don't tell them, bring them into partnership. Like go and talk to them. We all are working. We all want to achieve the greatest possible things for ourselves and for the organizations, right? So like take the thing to the team, like take the problem to the team, make them the part of the problem and part of the solution, right? Then shift the psychological ownership to them, right? There's certain things like you don't mandate things, you co-create with in this new world. You don't drive things, you inspire people to do it. You want them to own it and take it and work on it, right? You don't say that you have to do it. You want them to do it and you make it happen. Like even for our kids, if I tell them that you have to do this, nobody wants to do it. You want to create that environment in which they are able to succeed. Like managers in this new world are enablers. They are making sure that their team or their organization has everything to move forward in the positive way. You have to lead from behind. You are servant leaders, right? Does that answer your question, Niranjan?
It does. Thank you. Thank you, Anju.
Yeah.
All right, so we can take a couple more questions. Oh, here's one. Is there any playbook to transform organizations to high performing? At a personal level, I may start building the trust, the safe environment so that the team members are NENV to express. I guess they feel comfortable enough to express, to convert themselves into autonomous teams. But how about at the organizational level? Srikant, do you want to state your question in a verbal manner that might make it easier?
Yeah, I think you got it right. You know, I was just trying to say that at my level, I can, you know, try to build that trust in my team so that the team members are encouraged to, you know, express themselves and then create that environment, safe environment. But how do you go about at organization level? How do you really change the culture? I know it's really a mindset, but still, how do we really do that?
So to answer that, right, you start showing up in that way. One classic example was like when you are vulnerable, right? You are creating that environment that doesn't just restricts to a team, that goes at all the levels. You have to be transparent, right? You don't dictate. You want to go to the participatory way of doing things. You communicate frequently. You reinforce those kind of behavior, those mindsets, like growth mindset. When we say fixed mindset means this can be done, this cannot be done. Rather than that, go to growth mindset, where people are more innovative, right? So you start shaping organization culture by modeling that kind of behavior, continuously learning and growing. So when you as a leader will show those characteristics, you set the expectations, right? You set the tone of the organization. Because people look up to you. You set the culture of the organization, apparently or unknowingly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. I think we have time for one more quick question. All right. If not, I will pass the microphone on to Nash or Avinash. Nash, is you?
Toby, this is Dhaval. I just posted something in the chat window. Are you not able to see that?
Oh, you posted in the chat. Give me one sec.
Sure.
Okay, I see a couple more questions. Okay. Why don't you say it? There's a lot of words there, and we have just 2 minutes left.
Okay,
Why
sure.
don't you say a question? Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, so a great presentation. In my observation, I've seen it that, it's one thing to let the team know that mistakes are allowed, right? Fail fast, learn fast, stop. And you create that psychological safety that nobody's going to get fired. But what do you say in terms of motivating team members who are introverts, who do not like to talk, and they work within their siloed expert realm? And I also posted, for example, if they're developers who like to do their own thing, they're experts they're developing their own thing, but they're not really good collaborators. How do you go about changing that culture?
So again, Dhaval, going back to the same thing, when you will create a psychological safe environment where people are ready to share their experiences, and a common example is like, if you are working in an organization and you don't know where the other person is coming from, you will never be able to build that deep connection, right? So there are several exercises that they recommend, like talking about your personal journey, taking for team outings, any of these things, like all soft skills, right? But still they help people to come out of their shell and feel that it's okay to share our experiences with the other one and consider other person as human, like we interact in more human level rather than just mechanical level where we are just expected to produce outputs.
Thanks, Anju.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great question. With that, I would like to pass the microphone on to Nash, closing for us today.
All right. Thank you, Toby. Thank you, Anju. That was awesome presentation. With that, thank you everybody for joining today. Our next session will be on July 9th. And our next speaker will be Brian Milner. He is a certified Scrum trainer. He has been in software development industry from 23 years. And he has been working in Agile organization from last 13 years. He is an awesome speaker. He has recently started unlockagility.com, which is a website, and you can go and look for his videos. He will be here with us on July 9th. He will be talking about the age of remote Agile. Pretty soon, we will have that flyer running. So please look forward for that. That will be available on LinkedIn and all other social media where we are where we have our presence. If you have any question, you can reach back to us and look for the registration email or registration link, and that should be available to you pretty shortly. With that, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Anju.
Stay safe.
Thank you.